Investor optimism has plummeted. That's our top story today on the Wall Report. I'm your host, Greta Wall. The American Association of Individual Investors weekly sentiment survey shows optimism among traders sitting at the lowest level in nearly 30 years. Here's a look at that chart. Just 15.8% of respondents said they are bullish on stocks over the next 6 months, while 48.4% said they're bearish. And that bullish sentiment is among the 10 lowest readings dating back to the survey's start in 1987, and it's the lowest reading since September 4th of 1992. And the major indices are all lower today as Treasury yields continue to spike. The yield on the 10-year Treasury note is currently up about 2 basis points to 2.85%. This morning, that yield popped above 2.87%, marking its highest level since late 2018. And the rally in the bond market comes as the CPI hit a nearly 41-year high last month, and the PPI hit a record high. And while traders are monitoring those gains and the impact of inflation, oil prices are up amid new supply fears. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rising 0.4% today to over $107 per barrel. Brent crude futures, meantime, up nearly 0.8% to over $112 per barrel. And this comes after Libya's National Oil Corporation warned today that a painful wave of closures has begun hitting its facilities. And those closures piling on top of the Russian supply fears that are already surrounding Russia and the war in Ukraine. Now, in the economic news of the day today, Homebuilder sentiment fell for the 4th straight month this month. The National Association of Home Builders Sentiment Index dropped 2 points as expected this month to 77. And although any reading above 50 is still considered positive, this, again, is the 4th straight month of declining confidence among builders. Sentiment about current sales conditions fell 2 points to 85. Buyer traffic tumbled 6 points to 60, and sales expectations over the next 6 months rose 3 points to 73. The drop in optimism comes as mortgage rates have spiked over the past month. The average 30-year rate stood at just 3.9% at the beginning of March and has since spiked above 5%. And Twitter shares are rising today as the battle continues with Elon Musk. Twitter's board voted unanimously in favor of a poison pill on Friday in response to Musk's $43 billion buyout offer. Now, that shareholder rights plan will limit any individual's stake to less than 15%, and if someone buys a larger stake without board approval, other shareholders would be able to purchase the stock at a discounted price. Now, the board is still considering Musk's $43 billion buyout offer and said this poison pill will not stop them from accepting any offer they determine is in the best interest of the company and shareholders. But Twitter's co-founder and former CEO Jack Dorsey has criticized the board. In a series of tweets over the weekend, he said the board has, quote, consistently been the dysfunction of the company. And he is set to step down from the board himself at the 2022 shareholders meeting in late May. In a tweet, Musk said the Twitter board collectively owns almost no shares. Objectively, their economic interests are simply not aligned with shareholders. This comes after Musk had said that shareholders should be making the decision on his buyout offer rather than the board of directors. Musk also said today that he would reduce the board's salary to $0 if he successfully buys out the company, which would save Twitter about $3 million a year. And finally, in earnings news today, Bank of America shares are up after beating Q1 expectations. The bank reported earnings of 80 cents per share on $23.33 billion in revenue. And that was better than analyst expectations on both the top and bottom line last quarter. Net loan charge-offs, which are costs when a borrower falls behind on their payments, did drop 52% year over year to $392 million. And that was less than half of what analysts were expecting that number to be. And Bank of America also said it released $362 million from its loan loss reserves last quarter, helping add to that profit. And it's a big week of earnings this week. Netflix and IBM both are set to report on Tuesday afternoon, and then Tesla will be coming on Wednesday. The week also includes results from Johnson & Johnson, United Airlines, American Airlines, and Snap. So be sure you're subscribed to my daily morning newsletter, Coffee with Greta. There's a link in the description box to sign up if you haven't already. And then also tune in here to the Wall Report every day at noon Eastern to get details on those earnings and the other top market news of the day. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Hit that subscribe button before you go.